Hey, what is up you guys? It is Silver Sun here, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my review on Uncharted 4. As far as the story went, I had to say it was a pretty good, well-told story. I like how it goes about, the two brothers, Nathan Drake and Samuel Drake, their past and whatnot, growing up in an orphanage, escaping and just leading into this life of thievery and also tying in some of the other characters from the past games. Even if I haven't played them, I'm pretty sure they're, pretty good characters. Even in just this one game alone, I thought they were pretty cool. I especially like Sully. He was pretty funny and whatnot. And not only that, but the villains were pretty entertaining too, especially Rafe and whatnot. He was pretty crazy, especially near the end and whatnot. That big fight sequence we had was pretty intense and just awesome. And the ending itself, the epilogue and whatnot with their daughter and stuff, I thought it was pretty sweet. It was a nice ending to a pretty good gaming series. As far as the gameplay went, I have to say it was pretty smooth throughout for the most part. Of course, there were a few frame rate dips and whatnot, but other than that, it was fairly smooth. It really reminded me of the Last of Us and whatnot remastered. It felt like that, but it was just a lot more to do and a lot more movement involved and a lot more free, to do what you want and whatnot. And The Last of Us, it just felt kind of static, you couldn't move around too much, especially because there were a bunch of, zombies and clickers and whatnot running around everywhere. But here, you still have to be stealthy, but, there's a lot more movement involved. You can go about the situation however you want to. You don't get, completely overpowered, especially when you got cover about and whatnot. I don't mind the third person shooting and whatnot because I'm kind of more used to, first person shooting and whatnot, but I don't mind the third person perspective. It's pretty cool how they blend in, both, shooting, platforming, and all that other good stuff. I just feel like there's almost something for everyone in this game. The graphics, of course, were phenomenal. They were amazing. I really did enjoy it. It was pretty cool to see, how far we've come in terms of graphics and whatnot in PlayStation and such. And the frame rate itself, even though there were a few dips and whatnot, it still held up pretty good, at least in the story mode and whatnot. Though a few times, especially some noticeable parts, when young Nathan Drake was in the orphanage and he saw his brother, and then transitioned from the cutscene to the actual in-game, gameplay and whatnot, you could definitely see a difference in quality there. But nevertheless, I thought that was pretty cool in and of itself. The whole transition between cutscenes to gameplay was pretty cool. For the most part, it would seem pretty seamless and whatnot. I especially liked the parts where the driving sequences and whatnot, how you can see more of the scenery and whatnot, those pieces and parts where you would just stop and admire the draw distance and fidelity of everything. It just really made the world pop out at you. In terms of enjoyability, I have to say I really did like this game. Not too many parts I felt frustrated or just felt like I couldn't beat a level and whatnot. Usually it would take a part or two, but eventually we'd get through it. I liked some of the puzzle solving that they had in the game, sprinkled throughout. I like, the characters in and of themselves. I mean, I'm sure, they're well-developed characters, at least by now. We're on the fourth game. Granted, I haven't played any of the other games. I'm not sure if I should, but, I mean, just going based off of this one game alone, I have to say that they're pretty good characters and whatnot, especially the villains. I usually like villains in stories like this. I mean, the protagonists are good and all, they really are, but the villains, at least in my opinion, are the highlight and whatnot. But it did have some pretty good puzzles. It did have some great gameplay, amazing graphics, and a good story. If I had to rate it, I'd probably rate it a 9.9, honestly, just because it's kind of ironic because they actually did talk about that at the end of the story and whatnot, and I have to say that's pretty true, because after the story there's not all too much to do. I mean, obviously all good things must come to an end and whatnot, but in games like, say, GTA 5, after you play the story mode, you still have that whole online aspect, and it's really robust. You can play with a whole bunch of other people and whatnot, and it's not a linear shoot 'em up game like Uncharted 4's multiplayer or anything like that. It's not like that where it's just you're set up in teams, kind of Call of Duty kind of style, but it's you could race and all that stuff. You can shoot people if you want to, though people shoot me a few, maybe 2 times in that game. But other than that, I mean, there's not really too much to do after the story mode is complete. I mean, you could go back through it and whatnot, as I have already and whatnot. But I mean, the multiplayer itself is pretty fun, honestly. Like, running at 60 frames per second, you could definitely see the difference in the two. While the quality isn't as good as the story mode, the frame rate is at least a little better. But there's not all too much to do after the story is done. But that's a very minor gripe to this amazing game. And if you guys haven't played it already, which I couldn't really imagine you guys not, unless you guys have like an Xbox or a Wii U or something, because this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. But if you guys have the money and time, I'd really recommend you guys playing this game. I'm pretty sure you won't be disappointed. And until the next one, guys, Silver Sun is out. Also, Crash Bandicoot.